Alrighty, good morning everybody, and thank you for joining us. I'm Chris Cook.
And I'm Dustin Staples with you this morning. We hope you've had a good morning so far, and weather-wise it's quiet. We love an easy weather day.
Especially on a day like today.
Yes,
right?
you want to have good weather on Valentine today. I was talking with somebody the other day. They were like, we've had so many rainy weekends. It's rained every weekend. It's rained everywhere. Or snowed. Last week it was the first weekend this whole year it didn't do rain or snow. This weekend, though, unfortunately tomorrow, but you have today to get out and enjoy.
Now, how common is that around here that through the first 2 months, only one weekend, almost 2 complete months, only one weekend?
I mean, it's common. It's happened before. I mean, a few years back, I remember working, when I just first started the weekends at the beginning of 2023, it was like, 7 weekends in a row it rained.
Really?
It was back.
That was when you had first started?
Yes, I just started on the weekend. It was like non-stop rain, 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 rain. I said, okay. I said, people can turn the TV on. I already know what I'm going to tell them. It's going to rain today or it's going to be overcast. But depends on the year because we've been on a La Nina phase. El Nino, of course, obviously.
What does that mean?
So La Nina basically meaning we're in a kind of a wet pattern to an extent where we're most likely going to be seeing those patterns continue, whereas El Nino normally brings drier and warmer air. So with thanks to the cooler weather, we've had all the snow we had the cold snaps there over the past couple of weeks. So give or take every year it varies. Some years we go completely dry with no rain. Some years, like this one example, we have rain every single weekend. So I think hopefully by March and we get to our wet season, we have enough rain to hopefully catch up on our drought.
Well, now, if it starts out that way, like the first part of the year is rain most weekends, is this something that continues throughout the year, or is this like it's going to shift?
Most likely there'll be a shift coming. I mean, unless there's no change in the higher level in the jet stream out west and the northern and southern jet stream, if we don't get no budge in moving us some front out west, that won't be the case at all. But if we do start to see improvement with that, we most likely will get out of that phase where it's just not rain, rain, rain every weekend. It just so happens that the pattern has been dry in the week and it lands at the weekend. So it just so happens we've been locked to the same thing over and over.
Well, then how fortunate is it? What a blessing that on a holiday, and then the very next day it's expected to rain. But then on the one holiday where people want to be outside going picnics and whatnot, it is sunny and 60 is the high, I believe?
Yeah. Today's the day for it. Again, average highs this time of year should be in the mid-50s, so we're several degrees above that. Last weekend we were 30 degrees colder for this time of year, so next weekend we're going to be above average. So we just continue to have this like wibble wobble of near or not even near average.
Well, now speaking of Valentine's Day, we've got a story, and I want to give some context here. Dickinson Avenue in Greenville. For those of you that watch, WITN News at 6 during the week, this is an area of Greenville that's been struggling. It's a road that has been closed for a while, and I started covering this in September, where the road was closed, and NCDOT said, we'll open it at this time, and I reported that in September, and then they delayed it, and then I went back to the day that they said it'll be open, and it was delayed again, and then for a third, I don't know how familiar you are with this, but I went back the third time, and they said we're actually delaying it again. And then just recently, they did finally reopen the road to traffic. I don't remember the exact date right off the top of my head, but it hasn't been too long, and prior to the road reopening, a main angle to these stories has been me going down there. There's a lot of local businesses, and it's a variety of businesses. There's the flower shop, Jefferson's. There's Aji, the candy shop. There's the farmers and makers market. There's just such a great variety of businesses, and there's new ones popping up. And, we were asking, this has got to be weighing on y'all a lot.
Sure.
And, most of them said yes. Others wanted to remain optimistic. And now, fast forward to now, the street is open to traffic, and it's time, and they say they're excited to get, their customers back. And, now on Valentine's Day, we had our reporter, Maya Geving. I kind of wish I could have done this, with me covering, the saga.
Sure.
But she was fortunate enough to go out there and catch up with these businesses and see how they are planning on getting customers in the door on Valentine's Day after so many delays with the street reopening.
Valentine's Day is big business for bookings on the holiday.
We are fully booked. We are usually fully booked on Valentine's Day.
So if you're looking for a way to get out some pent-up anger around Valentine's Day, Anger Management in Greenville has the perfect solution. Owner Lorena Garrison says the Rage Room often draws in people going through breakups, but also Galentine celebrations and couples looking to let out some strong emotions.
I had one lady last year, he broke up with her the night before Valentine's Day. She had a really good time here that day.
Garrison says the Rage Room offers a safe space for people to let out frustration without judgment.
You can't catch a charge here. I'd rather for them to come here than to beat up a boyfriend's car.
Continuing down Dickinson, there's another spot that's seen more traffic since the road reopened. CrossFit Greenville employees say Valentine's Day has brought an uptick in clients.
A lot of people are looking to get into good shape before that big day, before they go out with their special someone.
Owner Matt Hines says he hopes couples will consider CrossFit as a date idea.
Anytime that you can do something physically active together, I think that's great for a relationship, great for non-relationship as well. But it is a cool and creative, unique way that bonds with your significant other.
In Greenville, Maya Gething, WITN News.
We know that it does sound like these businesses on Dickinson, there's a lot of variety as we were just discussing. And I'm glad for a holiday like Valentine's Day. I never, through this whole saga, I never interviewed either of the two businesses. And even they are offering a different, two types of activities to do on Valentine's Day. So it just goes to show like the will of these business owners around that area for powering through and getting creative. And now finally the street's been in, they can get more creative and get people in the door. I love seeing that.
I don't go downtown a lot. I mean, one of the barber shops, I go down there and once a month, and that's really about it. That's the time I really go down there, or I'm walking down the trail on the Greenway. But like every time I feel like I go down there, I'm having to take a detour every single time. It never fails. But it looks like you said most of the roads are reopened though. Yes,
and now Dickinson's an interesting section of downtown because you've got the normal area of downtown that the ECU students frequent. Where you've got, the bars and, the breweries and stuff like that. This area is more of like a low-key part of downtown that's still considered downtown. And, this is for, people around more our age group, like mid to late 20s, as opposed to like, ECU students. So that's why I've always appreciated this area is because, it's a calmer type of area that still offers, a nightlife in downtown. And so now that these places that are working so hard to stay open in this area that I think is very important to the downtown Greenville scene, giving people in their mid to late 20s a place, I'm glad that they're fighting through, all of the struggles, and it seems like we're past them now, hopefully.
You hope so. Yeah, hopefully that is the case. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on down there. But yeah, the Rage Room, she says that Bernice says it looks pretty interesting there. I've never done a Rage Room before.
I haven't either, and it's an interesting concept. And I'm interested to try it out. And I heard about it, but this was the first time I'm seeing the inside, and seeing the inside, it does look fun. If you're not somebody that's done it before, you're kind of looking and saying, I don't know if that's something that would be for me. But seeing her video there, that does look like a fun thing that I might be interested in trying out. Yeah.
I mean, I say go for it. I mean, tomorrow maybe, because everything is going to be out. I don't know if they're open on Saturday, but tomorrow if you want to do something indoors, it'll be a good day for that. But today, get outside for a minute. I mean, go inside, get you done, and get back outside. Go pack a picnic, like you said earlier. Or go somewhere to a park or some sort of a romantic dinner. Or, go something. But whether you're outside, it's still cold out there. Warming up though, which is good. So we're going to start to see some warming temperatures in our forecast. Soon to be, we're going to be getting up into some very nice weather next week. So again, we're going to be seeing a good deal of some sunshine, not much away rain. We need a little rain though. And other than that, we're not going to be talking about much in the way of chilly weather. We've got one cooler night in the making for us, but most, again, it's just for one day of the week. Currently, though, both Belhaven and the Neuse River camera, they're looking pretty nice. We started things off in the morning show. We were in the 20s, now we're in the 40s, so we're getting a lot warmer now. Still chilly out there. You can go away with the light jacket. You don't need the heavy winter coat. This morning, I think, put those up for a while. And then we're going to get too spooled, but it being too warm, and then it's going to get cold again. We know how this trend kind of goes. But right now, mid-40s there, getting close to 50 for some of you, so not too bad outside. And again, the dry air starting to slowly go up a little bit. That means we do have an increase of moisture coming our way thanks to that system out to the west. We are dry. There's nothing on the sky there reporting anything. But even back towards the west there, seeing some pretty good conditions. If you can go to the mountains, if you people want to go skiing, I've been watching the Weather Channel on our break here. I'll pull this up real quick. And they were talking about the lack of snowfall out west. Salt Lake City, Utah only picked 1/10 of an inch of snow. 1/10.
For this winter?
For the whole
Wow.
winter. Deficit of drought out there, and they're expected to get a couple of feet now.
Wow.
So everything is lacking out there. We've hogged all the snow. That's the problem.
I was going to say they're going to be feeling like how we felt a couple weeks ago. But one thing I wanted to bring up is how for this time of year, it's cool depending on, or it's cool or annoying depending on who you talk to. Like for example, I was telling you this morning when we were on air that when I drove here this morning, it was very cold walking to my car, and I had to let it defrost for about 15 minutes. Whereas on my lunch break a couple minutes ago, I walked to Publix, which is right down the road from the WITN studio, and it was sunny, and I almost wanted to take my jacket off, and I was like, wow, it's a little bit warm, and it almost feels like you need to dress differently if you do leave like before the sun comes up as opposed to this part of the day. And I feel like that's a thing that's really only specific to this month and maybe next month. And then once you get in April, I mean, it starts getting where you can wear the same kind of outfit every day. But again, it's an interesting time of year where I would say you need to pack not need to, but it might be beneficial to pack 2 outfits, which is so interesting.
Yeah, and Elise does that when she comes in the morning. She's got her, her work clothes on, and then immediately she swapped when she's done got her loungewear on. I'm like, Jesus, Mo. I said, you kind of do that too. But yeah, definitely a time of year where, last year we were about this time. Ironically, we were getting ready for another snowstorm about this time of year. And I think it was an ice storm. That's what it was. With the ice storm with it. And after that, we were done with the snow because we had snow in November, January, and February. Whereas this winter, we've had snow as early as Veterans Day. And then we had like 3 little small events in December. And then we had the one just a couple of weeks ago. And then the little ice event after that. And now we're kind of in a position where it's like, okay, I think we're done for now.
Well, it's interesting to compare the last couple years to previous years because I've lived here forever, specifically here in Greenville since 2018. And I remember before last year, the last time we had a real legit snow where you wanted to go out, take photos of it, make a snowball was 2021 before you had even moved here.
Oh wow!
And then last year it just felt like we were just hit by a train. It was, correct me if I'm wrong, 3 major winter events.
It was.
And then this year, not 3 major, but it's like you said, as early as Veterans Day, some snowflakes, and then correct me if I'm wrong, the biggest snow of 1989 since 1989.
Yeah, give or take from the last couple of a few weeks ago, yeah.
Is there a reason to explain like why? So from again the stretch of 2021 to 24, nothing. And then now, like, we're all of us here that have lived here forever are like, oh my goodness, like what's going on?
Yeah, so I mean, the pattern, it's all about the developments of the southern jet stream. If we get the cold air, we've got the cold, we always get the cold every year. If we can get that cold air and that southern moisture to line up from the Gulf and that jet stream right in perfect timing, we're going to be in for getting it like that. And like I said, the La Nina, the El Nino winters, each year varies with that. We've been under La Nina for a couple of years now. I think we might be transitioning to a weaker El Nino heading for hurricane season, which would mean less activity, which hopefully that's the case. We'll hopefully so. I mean, last year we thankfully dodged many bullets with storms with that, but it depends on if we get that jet stream from the south, the cold air from the north, and it comes right to the, alignment, we can get that. There's a thing called cold air damming, or CAD, basically an area of high pressure. Now I'm getting the real technicalities of all this here.
Well, go ahead, yeah.
High pressure to the north of that. The polar vortex comes dipping down from the south. The moisture aligning right into that cold air, and you got to have just the perfect amount of ingredients with it. Storm track is in place, and it also can be too cold to snow. If the air is too dry, it will just evaporate it. So you have to have a moisture content with it. People think, it's got to be cold to snow. Yes, but you got to think about how much moisture is involved with the system and how much dry air is above heads. Because if it's too dry, we're just going to get flakes and not accumulating snow.
So not to make a pun here, but a perfect storm is what it's got to be for what we saw a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
That's so interesting because it happens so little. Like what we saw a couple weeks ago is just so few and far between here, specifically in Eastern Carolina. I feel like the Raleigh area and the Piedmont gets it maybe every other year, like a large snowfall like that. But for here specifically, it seems like it's just so few and far between.
Right.
And it's interesting hearing why, because it's like you're saying, it needs to, all these things have to come into play and line up perfectly for that to happen. So it makes sense why it would only happen every few years.
Right, and if there's a low pressure system off the coastline and that coastal low is close enough to us, it'll give us a lot of snow. Now, if it's too close inland, it would give us more of a mixed bag, but if it's too far out, we would just get a little bit of rain or a few flurries, but in this case, it was right in the middle, right not too far off of the coast of Cape Hatteras and right off the Atlantic. It just that perfect track right there at it. The front lined up with it, the cold air and everything was moving up with it. So.
Are we too early to tell if next winter is going to be? I don't know anything about like tracking and all that stuff.
It's a lot right now. We probably don't know. You're going to start hearing speculations probably as early as July. People go in there, and I'm like, don't even go buying that right now because that's way too far. Hurricane season, though, I will probably say we're coming into March, early April. We may start seeing some indications of how that'll be. So right now, I can't say if we're going to have a calm season, if we're going to have an active season. But right now, the way things go, and if we start phasing into a calmer and a weaker El Nino, that would help reduce a lot of storm. We'll still get hit with some storms, but not like active.
Major hurricane. Yeah.
Right, yeah. We'll probably feel the impacts of a tropical depression. All right, I'm getting all sidetracked here. We've got to get back to today's forecast. It's Valentine's Day, folks. It's not the middle of summer that we're talking about, some summer-like weather. Here's our storm system out west. That's going to bring a possibility of some severe weather down towards the southern part of Panhandle of Florida there. They could see possibly near some tornadoes and damaging winds. But that rain is also moving our way too. And like we just mentioned to you there, Sierra Nevadas, they're going to be getting feet and feet of snow. And they're finally getting that atmospheric river. So they're going to get some rain on the coast of California, snow usually inland. So that's usually typical there in the mountains there. Lake Tahoe, all those variety of areas there are going to be seeing a couple of inches to nearly a foot of snow. So much needed snow for those folks out there. Average highs for this time of year, typically in the mid-50s. So tomorrow and Monday, we're going to be near average, and you kind of can tell there's a dip coming next weekend because of that change in our pattern. So we're going to warm way up and then fall back down to the 70s. Real quick, though, I want to harp on this for a second. The drought, though, has been ongoing. This has just been a situation where we've been in since last July, August, I think it was. We had one tropical storm that brought a little rain, and that was it. We didn't get a lot with the impacts, thankfully, with the hurricane. So rest of the afternoon, we're looking pretty good, to say the least. Nothing too crazy. Clouds, if you're doing any dinner dates tonight, whatever it is, you're going to the baseball game, things are looking pretty chilly. Tomorrow morning, as of now, looks like we're still on par for maybe a few early morning showers, but that's not enough to cause any disruptions. Just more of a nuisance. Still, even if you're heading out to post-church, if you're getting to grab a quick bite to eat, coastal spots, you're not going to probably see rain until about 5 o'clock at the latest, but it does look like 3, 4 o'clock, everybody begins to see that rain take over, and then it becomes a widespread situation in the afternoon. So there's where everything is right there. Heavy downpours, maybe an isolated rumble of thunder can be ruled out, but no severe weather expected. Maybe a little ponding of water for those areas that see a little too much rain, but the ground is so dry as it is, anything will be happy to welcome the drought that we've been in. So again, tomorrow they've highlighted a marginal level 1 risk of an outlook for a little ponding of water. That's what that's in play for, but the rainfall, half an inch to inch and a half, maybe 2 inches of rain, so something that's really going to be needed. Now, beyond that, we have the winds to deal with, too. So it's going to get very windy Monday morning. We're going to be dipping down in the 50s and 40s, so we could be seeing a little bit of the windy conditions as stepping out the door for work and school, with Monday being President's Day. School's a makeup day now. I don't know if government offices are closed, but if they are, just check those as you step out the door. Forecast again real quick. The first game under 2 hours from now at ECU, and the second game right around 4 o'clock. This is the post. They've moved this game up because of tomorrow's rainfall, so that game will probably slated for 4:30. Depends how slow and how fast the game goes. Heading home after that, it's going to be chilly. And something real quick that you're going to like this here. Our sunsets are going to be getting earlier, and that means our night hours are getting later. So you're not standing up doing your reports.
Oh, yeah, that's been getting to me, man. Yeah, seriously.
The late night time change is coming for us. Though it sucks for me because I have to lose an hour of sleep.
Oh, yeah, that's rough.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. It just makes it more. I'm going to get an extra hour on my nap, To forecast here again today, 6 rain showers likely all through tonight and through tomorrow morning. And then we turn windy and cool there for President's Day Monday. Tuesday, we begin the warming trend here, which is going to be very nice after the little cool weather we've had over the last couple of days. But most of us, again, staying very mild and seasonably above average here. Again, average high for this time of year should be mid-50s. So tomorrow and Monday, we'll be close to that. And then we talked about the wet weekends. We'll see how next weekend plays about, because I think the last thing we want to see on the weekend is more rain. And if that was the case, this would mark week 6, and then next week will mark week 7 compared to the weekend. So we just can't seem to get out of this rut here with this wet.
But looking at Wednesday, if you're going to the ECU baseball game, I mean, can't get more ideal than that with a lot of clouds and 71. Right? That sounds like some baseball weather to me.
And you can have to watch it, maybe get a little sunburn too. So if you're sitting in the stands over there on the other side, I mean, I've been victim of that many times. So, but yeah, I mean, good weather for that. No rain. I mean, maybe a little quick sprinkle here or there, but nothing that's going to wash out the game. So it was a good call in for moving the game up from tomorrow to today.
So in layman's terms, tomorrow, bring an umbrella if you're going out.
Keep it with you until about 12 o'clock. You're okay, and then it's just all night, early tomorrow, maybe sunrise on Monday morning. We'll start to see that out of here, but then it gets cold, chilly, seasonable actually, because we're going to get so spooled, like you said. You don't have to take 3 different outfits with you coming to work after Tuesday, because it's going to get up nice, and then warm season, everything kicks in. So if you're looking for the warm weather, this is your week for it. I like to call this the one of 12 seasons of North Carolina.
Yeah,
Full spring, we like to call it.
Yep.
So, but yeah, Bernice is with us in the comments this morning. Yeah, so spring begins March 20th. Yeah, that's not long far from now. Summer, June 21st. That's yes, astronomically speaking. If you ask us meteorologists, we begin that on March 1st for spring, and then June 1st for summer. And yeah, the dreaded hurricane season. You know, we thankfully, like I said, we didn't have any impacts last year, which was incredible.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I would even call it unusual.
It is.
Is it for at least in the recent years?
It is. The last time this has happened was 2015, where there was no direct impact. It's been a long time.
Yeah, that is a long time.
It's been a long time since we had any like direct impacts to any U.S. states. Now, like the coastal areas from like Florida to Maine did see impacts from storms, but there was no like immediate like landfall, anywhere.
Especially after, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Helene was one of the more devastating hurricanes that we've seen since early 2000s. Is that right?
Yeah, it is. That was almost going on 2 years now out the west of the state. And I remember working that Friday morning I was here, and me and Zach were just like looking at things. We're like, this is going to be a storm for somebody. And we thankfully really did dodge it, because if that thing would have just skirted to the east 50 more miles, who knows what things would look like around here. But, thankfully, those folks are still recovering. They've had ice storms and snowstorms, and that's kind of they don't need that right now either, because they're still recovering from Helene.
Yeah, right.
But, hopefully, the way things are looking, projections are calm. We kind of have a quiet season like we did last year. Maybe a couple of systems here and there.
So the western part of the state deserves some quiet.
I think
weather,
I think they do. Yeah, they're to get a little snow, a little bit of snow mix rain out there tomorrow morning, and then it's going to turn to a cold rain for them too. So really no major impacts besides that. But I mean, other than this, the nice warm weather coming our way, there's really not much going on.
I'd love to hear that. It's awesome.
Chris, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
well,
it's been a pleasure. New thing for me. Again, normally on the evenings for weekends. So thank you for welcoming me into your homes this morning.
Yeah, we'll see you back here this evening. Russell and Lucy will be here because of the Olympics. They'll be preempted, so you can catch them here on the First Alert Desk. You can also stream us on your Roku, or Amazon, and Apple, Android, or smart TV devices. Catch WITN on there. We'll be on our website. And then until tomorrow morning, there is no morning show once again. So Jim Howard will be here tomorrow morning with you at 8 and 9 a.m. along with Elise Sandlin for any other news updates. So till then, I will catch you sometime next week, whether if it's on air or here on the First Alert Desk. And Chris will be out there reporting in shorts and T-shirts because of how warm it's going to be.
We'll be getting to that point. Yeah.
It is a big point. Take care, everybody.